So Gerald Chertavian, he is the founder and CEO of Europe. And what Europe does is it advocates for equal opportunity, for education and economic justice for youth, for young people. And that's young people across all spectrums like Jalen. So thank you for being here today.
Great, thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. So I hope you don't mind, I'm gonna jump right into the questions.
Go for it.
So the first question is, you've been on this journey for about 3 decades, starting with being a mentor with Big Brothers program, and then you founded Europe in 2000. And today Europe is one of the fastest growing nonprofits in the nation, not just New England, but in the nation. Can you tell us a little bit about the organization and the focus on job skills, especially for youth?
Sure, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
Congratulations on the branch. Congratulations to Chase, because in Jamie, your leadership is literally not only instrumental within JPMorgan, but it actually sends a beacon for many, many other companies and CEOs to actually reimagine who's talented in this country and where does talent reside in this country, and to act differently to bring that talent in. So yes, we've served 35,000 young adults since we started Europe, several thousand at JPMorgan. It would not have happened without your leadership and the staff and the team around this country who have made it happen. It has a real impact beyond the walls of JPMorgan. So we serve young adults, low-income young adults, 18 to 26, and in less than 1 year, we empower those young adults to go from either low income or no income to livable wage jobs in the very best organizations across this country. And we're blessed to have been studied rigorously and proven to raise wages for low-income young people more than any other program in the history of the United States, period. Those aren't my words, that's the 10-year randomized controlled trial. They looked at Europe and said, does this work? Is it causal? And so what we see is, if we can serve 35,000, the reality is our country can lift millions of deserving, motivated, hardworking young people who just want their fair shot, their opportunity to get in the game in this country. And the reality is economic justice is racial justice in the United States of America. And it starts with a good employer like JPMorgan, who says, I see you, Jalen. I see your opportunity. I see your brilliance. And we're actually going to take down any barriers that might prevent you from coming to us, building a career, taking care of yourself and your family. That's how democracy functions. That's how civil society gets stronger. And it's not done without the partnership and the leadership of folks at JPMorgan, period.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, a round of applause. And it goes to saying what Rep. Holmes said earlier about talent is created equally, but opportunity is not. And so with programs like Europe, you create that door and create that opportunity. So thank you. And I will say Europe is one of the largest emerging talent development program that JPMorgan Chase has. And in fact, 60% of your interns go on to be part of the JPMorgan family, like a Jalen. So thank you. So when you think about opening the 400 branches that we're going to open, or the 50 branches that we're going to open plus in New England, it's important that we have that talent pipeline and we create that equal opportunity for that talent pipeline. So I appreciate you sharing. So I want to ask you a question. As you think about 2 decades, what do you see as next for Europe? What is that next phase of Europe?
Sure. So there's a moment in time, I think 2 things happening. We have an opportunity to decide how we're going to emerge from the pandemic. Who gets access to economic mobility? Who gets included in the next wave of growth? At the same time, when the country's going through a reckoning with racial equity, and I appreciate you calling out the word structural racism and having leaders call that out and why it matters. But there is a moment in time where we can say, let's not look at 35,000 young adults over the past 20 years. What would it take to get to 40,000, 50,000 per year? And so Europe is focused very heavily on 2 things: radically increasing access for young people by deepening our partnerships with folks like your good selves, so that we can look out several years and imagine a program that's not 400 or 500 a year, or 4,000 or 5,000 per year, that says, how do we truly build relevant, valuable pipelines of talent into the best employers who are willing to meet and greet that talent successfully. So we want to increase access. And at the same time, we work with large organizations to help them to change their practices to be more equitable and inclusive. Because hiring is only the start. It's about retention, advancement, development, and all the barriers that one can bring down, as Morgan has done. So, as Jamie, your second chance program for young adults who may have been in the criminal justice system, or it's reducing four-year degree requirements, right? It's bringing down the barriers that prevent talent from finding their way to great employers. And that's led from the top, and it's what JPMorgan has done consistently. We want more companies to adopt that across this country.
I appreciate that comment because it is about scaling, right? One person, one organization can't do that alone. And I will, say in terms of the team members, this Mattapan branch also have many team members who are from Europe. So it's working. So I'll wrap up with your questions and I'll turn it over to Jamie. And I'll ask you one final question. You talk about influencing others, inspiring others to take on that same model and philosophy so that we can really have a broader impact. Any final takeaways that you would want to share with others as they're looking to build models like Europe that provides access and opportunity? Sure.
So if I'm an employer today, I can relook at my four-year degree requirements. Because if I have a four-year degree requirement to apply for a job, I exclude 84% of Latinos and 78% of African Americans in the country today. So look at your four-year degree requirements, and then intentionally operationalize programs to work with community colleges, workforce development programs, government programs, where we can operationalize bringing of that talent. And then I think the third piece is the lived experience for people of color and underrepresented groups is as important to study, to look at, and say, how do I help ensure that everyone has an equitable and inclusive experience once they join the organization? And that takes a courage to look internally and say, what is truly the lived experience of underrepresented communities in my company? And then to say, what might I need to change to make that equitable for all? So those three things I think can help any company who wants to build a pluralistic society and get the benefit of, and the competitive benefit of having diversity. Gerald, thank you for those words of wisdom, right? It's about, when you think about lived experience, our customers also have those lived experience. So it's about building trust in communities and bringing individuals who live and work and play in those communities. So I thank you for sharing your words of wisdom this morning. I appreciate it.
All right,
Be well.
thank you.
Thank you.